All right, welcome to the Oh My God, I'm Launching podcast. I'm your host, Ken Westgar, and today I have Deborah Fryer with me. Welcome, Deborah.
Thank you.
It's an honor to have you here. And today we're going to talk a little bit about money stories and how we relate to money and how we think about money. But before you do that, obviously, I want you to just give a quick intro, who you are, who you help, and how you help people.
Yeah, my name is Deborah Fryer, and I am a money mindset coach. I'm actually an accidental money mindset coach. I didn't think I was going
Love
to
that.
be someone who was an authority about money. I didn't particularly like money. I had a lot of money wounds or issues or challenges in my own life. And I just stumbled into this because I was on my way to medical school, and I discovered through working in an anatomy lab what I now understand as the anatomy of money. And I think that's what we're going to talk about today. And I
Hmm.
love that your podcast is called "Oh My God, I'm Launching," because launching freaks people out. It puts your money story right here
Oh,
because
yeah.
you're going to have to receive money if you do a successful launch.
Absolutely. And yeah, if you get too attached to that result, then that's gonna, cause some issues with the energy that you got going on when you do a launch
Totally,
as well. So yeah.
totally. Yeah, it's all about the energy. It's not about the money. It's all
Exactly.
about the energy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I now help
Um,
coaches, consultants, uh, artists, creatives break through their subconscious mental and emotional and financial blocks so that they can launch with ease, whether it's launching an online program or launching a summit or launching a live event or launching a book or launching virtually. I've done all those things, and
mhm.
I've launched to the tune of six figures for all of those. And I've also had crickets in all my launches. So, let's talk about all the mistakes, all the things that work, all the things that don't work, all the things that I know that are really attractive and magnetic, and all the things that unconsciously we do that are so repellent to clients that we don't want to do that because that's really going to mess up your launch.
Mhm. Exactly. And I love that you said that you had both the six figures and you had the crickets as well, because I think a lot of people can relate to the crickets, especially when you kind of start out and you do a launch and you think that you're going to have those six figures right away, but it doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily happen that way.
Yeah. And it's not linear either. Like
No,
I have
absolutely
had,
not.
like in my trajectory, when I hear the way that growth works, it's not like this. It's
Hmm.
not this visual that we have of climbing a mountain. It's more like you expand and then you contract, you expand and then you contract, you expand and then you contract, you expand and then you contract. And it is in every direction that you get bigger. So I've had some of my air quote worst launches after I've made the most money ever.
Hmm.
Because
Explain that.
because you expand and then you contract. You expand and then you contract. I think about when COVID hit.
Hmm.
So I was in a rhythm of doing a live event, and I would do my live event in Q4. It was super fun. It was super awesome. It was live. And, when you're in a room with people, the energy is
Hmm.
just exponentially magnetic and fun. And people also feel their stuff at a much deeper level. And so my close rate in a room with people was 50, 60%. And so I would easily close multiple six figures in a weekend, and I'd be
Hmm.
set up for the entire year. So 2020, Q4 2020 rolls around, nobody's going anywhere. There's no live event happening. And I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Like, I don't know what to do because my program was a year long program. It ended
Hmm.
in December of that year, 2020. So I had no income projected for 2021. What am
Oh
I going
wow.
to do? So I launched as soon as we went into lockdown. I launched a Facebook group. I didn't know anything about a Facebook group. I still don't know anything about a Facebook group, but I now run a Facebook group and I now
There
launch
you
six figure launches from the Facebook group because I had to figure it out. So when 2020 happened, I remember launching something and I thought for sure I'm going to launch something. It's going to be virtual and and it's going to be a six figure thing. And it tanked.
go.
And I was like crying. I was on the phone with my coach and I'm crying and and I'd invested all this money in copywriting and all this money in updating my website and crickets. And you know what happened? even though it tanked financially,
Mhm.
the people who enrolled were our amazing, amazing clients who are still with me. It turned
Mhm.
out to be like one of the best launches ever because of the relationships that I made with the handful of people who said yes to this thing that at the moment I said, oh, that tanked because the
Mhm.
numbers were smaller than I wanted. The relationships that I built with these individuals, the way that their lives have changed because they got such intimate support, it turned out to be one of the best launches ever.
There you go. Finding the positive in the negative.
Yeah. It's not about the money, it's about the
Yeah,
energy.
exactly. Will you also talk about, I assume we call it the be do have model, of, you need to be the person in order to get the results that you want. Otherwise, you would say, I want to have something and then I'll be that person, obviously, which is kind of backwards.
Yeah, totally.
So what are your thoughts on the be do have model?
It's funny you ask that. I just drew this picture of it the other day. In my mind, the way that I see it is like a giant iceberg.
Hmm.
And I actually have four parts of that iceberg. The top of that iceberg, which is, you know, iceberg, recently read it's the top 1/9 of the iceberg is visible. I've heard the top 1/10 of the iceberg is visible. In neuroscience terms, I like to think of our conscious mind is, about the top 10% or even the top 5%.
Hmm.
Neuroscientists say 1 to 5% of our conscious mind is, I mean, 1 to 5% of our brain is allocated for the conscious mind, and all the rest of it
Right.
is subconscious and non-conscious. So in a way, our minds are like an iceberg, and we're only aware of the stuff that we're conscious of. So the conscious part is the have. The
Hmm.
conscious part is the stuff that is actually in the past. It's the stuff that has already been created. It's the money I've already made. It's the stuff I've already learned. It's the qualities of being that I've already become. So the have part is actually a reflection of my past.
Right.
What's underneath of that is the do part. It's the action.
Hmm.
And I do things that are based on what I'm sitting on, which is all the stuff that's underwater. So the very base of the iceberg is the be part. It's who I am being.
Hmm.
And I believe that who I am being is, I'm an ambassador of the divine. I'm a stellar being walking around in a human body. I'm breathing the same air as everyone. I'm drinking the same water as everyone. And I have this same, uh, I'm made of the same carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen as everyone. And it's up to me what I do with that. But it's really like who I be that is the foundation. And who I be, I come in as a blank slate. I come in as an empty page, and it's up to me to filter the information. So once I filter the information, now all of a sudden, on top of the being layer is the feeling layer. And
Hmm.
the feeling layer comes from, I learn at a very early age. If I do X, I get love. If I don't do X, I get love. If
Right.
I, if I respond this way, I'm loved. If I respond that way, I'm not loved. And of course, the feeling of wanting to be loved, of wanting to be safe is paramount,
Hmm.
because that is what my being really rests on. It's got to be safe for me to be here. So here I am, all this energy, right? We're talking about like it's the energy that we're bringing to the equation. So even
Absolutely.
though it's the base of the iceberg, interestingly, it's the least tangible part of the iceberg. And I think that's why money is so confounding for people, because the energetic part, who I be, you got to feel it. It's internal, right? And so who I be, I feel a particular way. And if I feel a particular way, I'm going to take a particular action, and the particular action is going to result in the having. So that's how I understand the be do have model, but I call it the be feel do have model. But
Right.
same.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
the having, is a teeny weeny part,
Hmm.
because what I have is a result of the actions I took, which were based on the way that I felt, which came from how I identify, how I see myself. So let's be specific about money. If I see myself as a starving artist, I'm going to feel really good about being broke because I associate that I'm a starving artist. And because I'm so identified as being an artist, I'm so identified as making amazing creative stuff that nobody's going to pay me for because somebody told me once upon a time nobody's going to buy that. And I've internalized that. So now I think that's true. So I make amazing art, but I give it away for free.